Hey everyone, and welcome back to HLS TV. This is our third installment. I'm Moran here again with Ryan Ritter, and we are going to be discussing this year's Shamrock Series game, which took place in Indianapolis, and we played Purdue. So, Ryan, initial thoughts on the game?
It wasn't as good as I would have hoped it was, but definitely happy we got the win. But I'm really interested in your thoughts because you were in the game. I know a lot of us were really freaking out, especially in the first half. So
Yeah.
how was the mood in the stadium? Let us know what your experiences were like.
Well, for one, leading up to the game, I credit Notre Dame because they did an amazing job just having things around the city to do. They had like the fan fest and the pep rally still going on, so that was awesome. That like the atmosphere just in Indianapolis and everything leading up to the game was just amazing. Definitely seemed like a lot more Notre Dame fans around town than Purdue fans. So when there was when they had like a whole side of the stadium, I was like, okay, they do exist, but. Yeah, I'd never been to Lucas Oil. Really, really cool stadium. They had the dome open and everything. There was definitely an electricity in the stadium. It was, a lot of excitement before it even started. The uniforms and everything, which looked really, really cool in person. I was a fan of them before I even saw them, so that was good. So, all the pregame excitement, Jumbotron, which helped during the game. Wink, wink. Plugging that to anyone that has control over getting one of those in the stadium. But no, it's just really cool because it gets fans involved in the game, like not only like by literally like putting their faces up there, but you could actually see what was going on during the game because, like you said, it was a little bit of a interesting game. So it was nice to be able to kind of see exactly what was going on play by play.
Yeah, quick
Okay,
question on the
so
Jumbotron since you
yeah,
mentioned it. I know one of the big fears is that if we do that, there's going to be ads and everything all over it. I know when last year in Texas, it
yeah.
was it was I think they did like one Adidas. There's an Adidas store somewhere in the stadium. So
hmm
did they stick to that? Did it change? Did you notice any kind of ads or anything?
No, I really didn't notice any ads. No.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but no, I didn't see anything like overly distracting to me. It was a lot of yeah, just what was going on in the game, or if it was like a TV timeout or something, they had obviously pre-made videos of the players, like little things to get like the fans pumped up and everything. But I didn't notice anything like overly like gaudy or distracting or like obviously
Well, yeah. That's good.
propaganda or
I
anything.
was
So
hoping it would stay like that, so I was going to be very
yeah,
disappointed if it wasn't.
no, I mean I guess there was some Under Armour stuff, but I think that's to be expected. And that it, I guess I didn't pay attention to it because it was like kind of subtle. Because again, the ads that they were using were kind of like pump up ads. It was like the whole like protect the house, I will sort of thing. So I guess that was there, but I don't think anybody seemed too offended by that because again, it was kind of like, yeah, we will,
Yeah.
woo. So that was there, I guess. But obviously, I was oblivious to it. So maybe everyone else was too. But that was kind of a cool thing to have, I thought, but I can understand that fear.
Yeah. Well,
So,
sorry for the interjection. Back to the game. I was just
no,
curious.
you're cool. Yeah, cell service spotty for me, so I did not have any Twitter access to see people freaking out, but I could understand where they would be. Stadium wise, again, you're there, so you're kind of excited. So I think overall during the whole game, obviously we were freaking out, but something about being at the game, I don't think I personally get as nervous because even with the jumbotron, you don't know like you don't know like exactly what's going wrong like at every moment for some reason. For some reason, like on TV, like when they're showing the coaches and you can see them, Ryan Kelly turning purple and Van Gorder freaking out. You don't get all that at the game, so it's bad, but you don't know how bad really. So I mean, we were definitely freaking out and disappointed, but everybody stood most of the time. No one was sitting and getting upset. The the crowd reaction was fantastic. There was, music, the typical. Um, there was no crazy train, but they had music piping in, so it was exciting. But um, yeah, I don't think people were freaking out as much as they probably were at home. But we were definitely shocked because the first drive looked really good.
Yeah.
So
I was
it
like,
was
oh,
like
this is going to be an easy game. It's exactly what we thought it would be.
right. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I will say though, like in my section at least, we all kind of like came to a general consensus. No one wanted to admit it at first. We were kind of like, okay, was anybody else worried a little bit about Purdue? Because we kind of struggle with them. We were all kind of like, yeah, okay, we kind of were. So we kind of discussed that, and we were, you know, like I said, afraid to admit it at first, and we're like, oh no, we were kind of all maybe thinking that this could happen. We don't want it to actually be happening, and it's happening.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wanted to believe that it was going to be a letdown, mostly because Purdue is rebuilding so much.
Right.
But yeah, they played us tough again, and the letdown happened. I mean, the second half was a lot better, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I just don't feel like the offense really ever got on track. But yeah,
No.
I think you make a good point of, the TV kind of shows everything that's happening. Kelly wasn't really losing his mind, I don't think, on the sidelines,
That's
and or
good.
Van Gorder, but maybe we were all on edge because Tom Hammond's face was back on our TVs again. So I guess
Oh man.
that doesn't help out at
God
all.
bless all of you.
Yeah, we had three different quarterbacks playing in the game. I don't know if you saw it in the field. We had Golston, Goldson, and occasionally Golson was in there. So I think it was actually Nina that had it on Twitter. It's like, oh, we
Mhm.
have the wrong quarterback in. Simple mistake. We got Golston in. Let's put Golson in. We'll be fine.
Love her. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's really interesting to hear that everybody kind of like, I don't know, it almost seemed like after the fact we're like, yeah, maybe we were, in the back of our minds more worried about this Purdue thing being a little bit harder. So
Yeah.
I just kind of just wish we had never gotten to that point.
I know.
That's what, more than anything, I guess, kind of disappointed me about it, especially when we're here last week. It's like, oh yeah, another 30-plus point victory. We're going to be great. Nothing can go wrong. And then it's like reality hit in the first quarter. Like, oh God, no, not
I
again.
know. Yeah, well, and even like after we recorded that, I'm like, did we jinx that? I don't know. I was like, maybe we're a little too optimistic. I'm like, nah, it's Purdue. So
Yeah. So
probably, yeah, probably a good thing to keep in mind, though. I mean, it's not just Purdue, and it's not just anyone. I mean, every week each team's different, so you kind of have to, you can't really discount anyone going
yeah,
into it. So
and the entire week was crazy. I don't know how much, with all the events going on, it's impossible to keep up with the rest of the games. I don't know if you were hearing scores coming in, but it was a crazy week in college football in general.
hmm.
And it almost looked like, it's like, oh, great, Notre Dame's going to be added to the list of teams that fell flat on their face. This is terrible.
Right.
Uh, but I guess it kind of shows to go. Sometimes it's more important that you survive the week, I guess.
Hmm.
Even in 2012, I mean, we struggled with Purdue,
Right.
and the Pittsburgh game was another one that kind of came out of left field. So
Yes.
it happens, and I guess it's good that we survived, by a 16-point margin of victory. So I mean, it could have been worse. It's still, I'm still not going to be perfectly happy about the game. I don't think I'm
Yeah.
ever going to convince myself, but I don't know. That kind of almost leads to, because I saw a lot of back and forth, and even today saw it. Good to be upset about the game. Should we just shake it off? Say a win's a win, and just be happy. Or is there? Should we be upset, disappointed? Is there things to actually be concerned about? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a mixture. I mean, I know I had a tweet like when I actually got service again, I said something about, I was excited to have been there, great atmosphere, great win. And then a few hours later, I was kind of like, well, great might have been a little bit of a generous word to use there. But again, something about like the excitement of being there, you were just happy to survive. We're like, yeah, we got this. That was great. But no, I don't think it's bad at all to be upset. I mean, I think some people kind of tend too much to either side. Like, I don't think you should be too excited about that. I mean, if you are, more power to you, I guess. But I also wouldn't be, completely defeated about the rest of the season either. Like, we won, great, we'll take that. But there obviously was a lot of room for improvement, and yeah, I this is probably an ideal week for a bye week to kind of maybe regroup a little bit before we go into some of the other games this season.
Oh yeah, that and all the injuries. And I think the
Yeah,
injuries and the suspensions that are still not resolved yet.
right.
I think it finally all caught up with us. It was just kind of
Hmm.
the perfect storm, but more than anything, what annoyed me, and especially in the first half, was it was just all so sloppy. The defense was failing to tackle. Uh,
Yeah,
the offense just never really seemed to get it together, and the second half was very noticeable, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So it's clear that the coaching staff's doing the right things to motivate the team, but I'm still really concerned that the running game wasn't looking good. And I know
Yeah.
Lugard was out on the O line, so I
Hmm.
think that had something to do with it. And also it's strange that Golson's effect on the running game tends to be in scrambling and not in read option game. I mean, our read option game is non-existent, which is strange to me. That was
Hmm.
the one thing I was looking forward to seeing. Now that he was back, I'm like, oh, that's back in the playbook. That's a
Right.
Kelly staple, and we really haven't seen it. So, I'm hoping we get healthy. We're able to, get back on track with the offense, especially. But man, I'm upset more than anything. Like I said about the first half, I forgot what I had in the tweet. It was very colorful language because it's inexcusable to come out like that in my mind. But the
Yeah.
second half gave me a little bit more hope. I won't lie, I definitely would have wanted more, but I'm always going to take a win, and I won't ever beat the team up too much about it. But there's definitely some things to
Right.
be concerned about, and
Hmm.
you never. I mean, I think the number one thing that personally I feel got on people's nerves was just how flat the team looked, and it was not for a drive or two; it was for an entire half,
Yeah.
and you felt like everybody was sleepwalking, and then they kind of woke up in the second half. And I just don't want to see that, because if we do that against the rest of the schedule, especially once we get to the stretch of Stanford, North Carolina, and Florida State, Stanford, big game to get up for.
Yeah.
So North Carolina is the one trap I've been nervous about all season. So you let down for that. That's a much better team than Purdue, and
Yeah,
that kind
exactly.
of thing can cost you. And then all of a sudden you have to rebound and face Florida State. You don't have a bye week to recover and then face Syracuse.
Right.
So I think that's more where I'm coming from. Is I get more upset about that because I know that with the schedule we have to face, and I know it's a lot to ask for, but we got to have a much better effort, much better execution across the board. Otherwise, it's going to come back and bite us in a very frustrating fashion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think again, the whole crowd was, we were all excited. It's a Shamrock Series game. You're in Lucas Oil Stadium. It's amazing. I do agree. I don't think like the energy of the team was matching the crowd at all. Like we were all really hyped up, and a lot of the comments in the crowd around me was just like, okay, like, okay, tackle, wrap them up, like let's go. Like it did the whole game just felt kind of fractured, especially the first half. And there was penalties, a lot more penalties than we've had like the whole season too. So it was just kind of
Oh
like, I don't
yeah,
know. It was
I
just weird.
let's see. I don't know. I got a box score up here. I don't know if they have. Now this one doesn't have the penalties, but yeah, that's a good point because I'd like to take a look at the penalties. I felt like we got twice as many penalties called and/or yardage than we did the first 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and
Some of them
that.
I thought were kind of garbage, but some of them definitely was sloppy play.
Oh yeah, and it was just sloppy play, not using their heads. Redfield,
Oh, the
and
Redfield thing, yeah.
as soon as that happened, I'm like, he's gone,
Yeah.
and I know it's very very hard when you're going full speed. But when it's a quarterback, you can't lead with your head. Eventually he's going to think about sliding at some point. That's got to be in the back of your mind.
Hmm.
So there was so many things that went wrong, and yeah, he slid and brought himself to head level. But if Redfield isn't leading with his head, maybe he's able to get away with a penalty instead of an ejection, because then it's not a target.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was things like that, and like when Jalen Smith's missing tackles, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And it was that the first Purdue scoring drive. It just almost looked like we were seeing, some of those defenses of old that could just never tackle and just getting run all over, and it was just frustrating to watch. Which I think it's it's weird to say it's good, but I think it's shown how far we've come as a program, because now we can say, yeah, we had this victory. But man, we know the ceiling on this thing is so much higher. We expect so much more out of this team.
Hmm.
So
That's true.
yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. But again,
Yeah.
I don't want to seem like a defeatist and pointing out every little thing that went wrong, but you just know this team is so much better than what they showed. Um,
Yeah.
and especially, like I said, because of that first drive when, we just walked out there and it was just so easy, and Purdue
Hmm.
just looked so overmatched. And then all of a sudden, they made a game out of it. And you're just like, well, what the hell happened?
I know.
For the first from the first drive onward to the whole half, it was just like we forgot how to play.
I
Yeah,
know.
uh,
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, I don't know, something you said made me think. I mean, honestly, I'd rather kind of like be exposed by Purdue and win and kind of know what to work on than, kind of just going back to the whole like if you can be upset about the loss thing, yeah, but I definitely am excited that we won and did survive, but now we know what we have to work on, I guess, sort of thing is the bottom line. So,
Yeah, and I mean we survived and survived by a comfortable margin when all was said and done.
hmm
So I mean there's a lot of things to take away from it to not have it be as bad, but I mean especially God, I really want that running game to shape up, but I hope a lot of it was
yeah.
because Lombard was out and that affected our line more than we thought we did. But thankfully, we have a lot of time. The season's still young, and
hmm
really, if you think about it, uh, Golson, I guess that you could say he was overperforming because the first 2 weeks, and considering that I know he was out there, as Desmond Howard liked to say, he was in the student athlete's dream. Being kicked out of school. I know every student athlete wants that, but then again, he's from Michigan. Half of them
Definitely.
don't graduate anyway. So, but yeah, but I mean, that's so much different than actually being involved in a game, and not only that, being involved in a grind week in and week out. So, I guess eventually this was bound to happen. Hopefully, this is the only time it happens. And
Yeah,
again,
fingers
it was
crossed.
against probably one of the worst teams we face on the schedule,
I know.
and we were able to recover and win comfortably when all is said and done.
Yeah. See, we can turn that into some positives there. That's good. Of
Well, I mean, there's always going to be positives when you win.
course.
I mean, there's always going to be, and as Everett didn't have a solid game, but he didn't turn the ball over.
No.
So I mean, there's still a lot of things I think we could have done better. He was sailing passes left and right, so really you can look at it and say, man, this game shouldn't have been as close, for several different facets of the game. But hey,
hmm
happens. It's football. That's why you play the game. If it was played on paper, we would have skipped the week and gone straight to have a
Exactly.
2 week
You wouldn't have
bye.
watched. You wouldn't know what happened.
Right. Yeah. Ask USC how much a game on paper works out after
Yeah.
knocking one to Boston College.
Yeah, that didn't go so well for them. But yeah, so um well we have a bye week, so we won't be previewing the next game.
Right.
We were going to should we kind of throw our hashtag out there maybe?
Oh yeah. Well, since we are going into the bye week, what we'll do, and you'll see us hop around on Twitter. We still want to do an episode every week. Since we have a bye week, you're not going to want to watch us, talk about Syracuse the whole time. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a hashtag Ask HLS TV, and you'll see it on the HLS account. You'll see it on our accounts. Throughout the week, and we'll take some questions. Kind of do like a fan question and answer section.
Yeah.
So just kind of throwing that out there, and hopefully we get some good feedback from y'all, and we can get good questions. It's like a larger
Yeah, I'm
IBG
excited.
for our audience. That's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. If not, I'll just make a bunch of fake accounts and ask myself questions. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Hopefully we get good feedback.
well now you just spoiled our plan B. So
I
where we
know.
where we pretend people care enough to ask us questions. Well,
You totally care enough, right?
well, I
Yeah.
guess with that, should we pick some MVPs for the game?
Yeah, let's pick MVPs. I'll skipping ahead a little bit. Let's see. Um, so I was kind of thinking during the game, even despite his missed field goal, I kind of like Kyle Brinza. I thought because for a while I thought the game was a little, not going the way we wanted, but I thought he had some good punts, which we needed to kind of pin them back and stuff like that. So I don't know, kind of a weird one, but I was just thinking during the game that he seemed calm, cool, and collected under pressure, whereas some of the team didn't. So I thought he performed pretty well.
I tell you what, MQ would be really proud if he was still at HLS that you picked a kicker as honor right there, and we will never let him forget
I
about
don't know.
making
I was just kind of thinking during the game, like, you know what? Some other things are falling apart, but at least he's kind of doing what he needs to do. I thought he was kind of a constant,
Oh,
personally. So
yeah, he stayed solid, and since the offense wasn't up to where we wanted, I mean, converting those long field goals, it's not just points, but it's also a field position thing. 'Cause
yeah, so
that's a short
weird
field.
one, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it to him.
Yeah. I personally would still, even though it wasn't one of his better games, I would still go with Everett.
hmm
He was 25 of 40, 259 yards. Not incredible numbers, but he still had 3 touchdowns, which
Yeah.
I don't know if you could have a sneaky 3 touchdown game, but he managed to do that. So that popped out to me. I was like, wow, yeah, that's right. He had 3 touchdowns when all was said and done. So
Yeah.
it was one of those things where he didn't have his best game, but he had a good enough game, which
Exactly.
was great. And honestly, I want to give an MVP in general to the whole defense for just churning it around in the second half,
Yeah.
because I was, even with the offense frustrations, the first 2 drives when they came out and were just knocking Purdue in the mouth, I'm like, okay, we got this. Hopefully the offense can start putting some distance between us, because whatever BVG said to them in the locker room worked
Yeah. Totally
perfectly,
worked.
because they were playing much better. And hey, Joe Schmidt got an interception after, which is
Yeah,
great
that's
because
right.
the
Yeah.
NBC Sports Network on the pregame, they actually did a feature on him, being a walk-on and getting the scholarship, and there he is, grabbing a pick in the game. Couldn't have been more perfect. So, I mean, definitely with everything that happened, and I know I was, bagging on the team probably a little bit more than I should in a win, but really need to give all the credit in the world to the defense for their second half performance,
Yeah.
because they did fantastic. And when all was said and done, they held Purdue to under 20 points. So
Hmm.
that you can't ask for much more than that. The defense did their job.
Right. Yeah, they adjusted when they needed to, so that's good. And yeah, the Joe Schmidt thing, our section totally had an I love Joe chant going on when that happened. So, or we love Joe. So
That is awesome.
we were excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But yeah.
sorry, Rudy. This is a little bit better. This walk on starting.
Yeah, I mean, look for that film soon. No. But yeah, I thought that was super exciting. And that was, like for our, like for the crowd, like kind of like that was a good way to end that.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
good. Reassuring. But yeah, so I guess we kind of covered everything, ups and downs, positives, negatives. I think we're
Yeah.
good.
I mean, bottom line is we're 3-0, and
Yeah,
we get a
take that
week.
any day.
Yeah, we get a week to kind of calm ourselves down after the game, and be happy we're not, beating ourselves up that we're 2-1 losing to freaking Purdue
Yeah,
after beating
exactly.
Michigan. So hey, you can't. We'll take that any day, and
We'll
hopefully,
take it.
hopefully everybody gets healthy. I know Brian Kelly in his presser today. I think just about everybody but Grace he felt pretty good about.
Good.
I'm a little iffy on how confident he is with Amir Carlisle, because he did say it was an MCL injury, so that
Oh
always
yeah.
makes me nervous. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him out of Syracuse just to be safe, so we make sure we have him for Stanford.
Mhm.
But hey, if everybody else gets back on the field by then, Torrey Hunter Jr. is supposed to make his Notre Dame debut against
Yeah, that'd be
Syracuse. So
awesome.
getting bodies back would be huge, and we
Mhm.
definitely need it. Hopefully, they use the bye week to actually have these hearings, which apparently still have not happened. I know Notre Dame
Yeah.
loves moving into Glacier's pace once it, gets the administration and the academic side. So hopefully, it finally gets covered. Gets because now it's. I know I've been preaching patience on Twitter, but it's starting to grate on me big time now, because
Yeah.
I thought it would be done by this point, and I have really low expectations for how fast Notre Dame moves. So
Yeah, well,
I
this
want
would be
that
the
done.
perfect time, so
Yes,
hopefully.
yes, it would. It needs to get done one way or the other. It needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, I guess the only other order of business is that I'd like to give a big thank you to all our YouTube subscribers. That's we have over 100,
Yeah,
evidently.
we hit over 100. I think either right before or right after the game, we topped over 100. So it's pretty
That's
awesome.
awesome. I don't think I ever would have like even let myself hope that we'd have that many after just I guess 2 episodes because this one isn't even up yet. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and just so you know, we definitely encourage you to subscribe. Obviously, you'll get notice of when these shows go live. You'll get Superman TD Jesus' awesome highlight reels, and even notifications of when my cat picks games. So, I mean,
I mean,
yeah, we'll have a lot more stuff, obviously, and really, this is the first season where we've really tried to push the video on the YouTube channel. So we've all been tickled to death and blown away. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much for coming by,
yes.
viewing, whether it's on HLS or on our channel. So thanks. Keep subscribing. Tell people about us, because we're excited to do this, and it's been a
Yeah.
lot of fun. So we hope everybody else is enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely. I echo everything you said. Thank you so much, and I'm excited to keep filming. It's great.
Yeah,
So hope you're there watching with us.
yeah, and hopefully they're asking questions next week. Remember,
Yes, ask
ask
questions.
hashtag ask HLS TV. I'm making this a tongue twister on myself. It's easier to type.
Yes, so there'll be lots of tweets about it. So yeah, hopefully we get some good questions. We'll be excited to answer next week. And until then, I guess go Irish, beat the bye week.
As Weiss would say, we're going to sit home and eat cheeseburgers. We'll see if that moves us up in the rankings.
Sounds good.
All right, so long. Go Irish.
Go Irish.
Since we are alone.